Okay, gents. Basically, remember we tidied this up. So we got rid of 4 rows up the top. Here is all our country names, our codes if we need them, and here are the years. So this top row is going to become our fields. So you know in the cricket one how they've got player and hundreds and 50s and all that stuff. We use that top row as the field, so we can look up a certain country in a certain year and it will tell us what its GDP is. Okay, so there's the initial values worked out. We then go and save that as a CSV file. So it should be a CSV file already. So I'm just going to call it GDP capita, and it's not going to be a text file. So about halfway down it will say CSV, and I'm just storing on the desktop. So now that we've done that, we probably don't need that anymore. We don't need that anymore. And if I go and have a look at the, I'm a genius. Okay, so there's our file sitting there. Okay, our next job is to get that data and make it into a database. So it's going to become a table in our database. How do we do that? So here is my PHP, my admin. So this is running where? On USB. So it's running on my USB. Okay, how do we create a new database? So up here where it says new is a good hint. Okay, we're going to call our thing, we'll just call it World Bank. Okay, this bit here, if you can find one, there is one HTTP English or something. Okay, what are all of these things here? They're my other ones. So I've got multiple databases running at the moment. So the test one was the cricket one we're just doing. Tuesday was one I was obviously doing on Tuesday because I was original. Okay, so here is World Bank, and we go and create the thing, and it will tell us that it's ready to go. It wants to create tables automatically, so it sort of makes sense that your database will have tables in it. We though want to import our data, so we go to import over here, we choose the file, it is on the desktop and it is GDP per capita.
You save that to OneNote on that Excel or the CSV?
Yeah, I will in time, mate. Yep. Okay, the one that you need to do that I couldn't see for whatever reason the other day is this second bottom one here. It says the first line of the file contains column names, etc. Okay, if we don't click that, that's where col1, col2, col3, etc. comes into it. But if we click that, it will grab country, country code, 1960, 61, etc. Okay, once we've done that, so there's our file. It's happy to suck it up. We hit go, and now you can't see it, but my little USB red light is blinking away very excitedly as it sucks all of that stuff in. And essentially the SQL stuff is here. So if we look at that, it's saying create a table if it doesn't exist in the World Bank database called Table 1. Okay, we're going to go and change the name of that shortly, but essentially, can you see where it's getting the bits and pieces? So it's saying the country name, it's a variable, it's a character, it's 52 characters long. It grabs the country code, it's recognised it's only 3 characters long. And then the rest of it is each year, allows 10 spaces. Okay, and then it gets the data and it will go forever, sucking in that stuff. So 264 rows of bits and pieces. Okay, here is our data, hopefully. Eventually. Okay, so there is the data that we just had. So some countries, they didn't have figures for a good while. So Angola and Albania, etc. But more established countries like Australia and Austria, the data will exist the whole time. Okay, so our columns are what they should be, and we can make much more sort of useful sense of that. Okay. Any questions at this stage, gents? Okay. In order to change the name of that table, you have to go over this one called operations. Okay, so right over the side, we're going to alter the table. So you see how we can do it in whatever order we like. So in this particular case, it's ascending order of country, but we want to change the name. So table 1 isn't a great description. So it might be GDP or something like that. So that is the new name of my table. Okay, I don't want an auto increment one because that would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I don't really need that type of thing. Hang on, I'm in the wrong place. Back up a bit. Okay, I just need to go there to rename. So we rename the table. You'll see there's a series of goes, so that's this one here. And magically, over here where it says table 1 is now called GDP per capita. So it doesn't do capitals. So that is the name of my new table. Okay? Righto. Righto, we'll continue. Our next thing here is I want to bring that into the database part of PHP. So I'll bring it way over here so it sort of dominates the stuff. Okay, we want to go and get a new data source. So it's already connected itself to MySQL because I've got my old one there. So that's my data source. Okay, it then says, what do you want to connect? So that's the name of my host, but what's the name of my database? So it's just called World Bank was my database. What's my username? Root. So think of Joe Root, the England cricket test captain. Once you put that there, there is no password. Okay, and if you've done it properly, you should be able to go here to test connection and it will say it's successful. Okay, hopefully you get that. And then we say okay. And what you'll see here, I'll just close up my cricket one. If I open this up, go into our schemas, go into World Bank, there's our data table and there's all our variables, all our fields. Okay? Now that I've got that set up, what can I do with that? Then I can go into my PHP bit and write some queries. So I might show all the countries who had a smaller GDP in this year compared to 20 years earlier or something like that. So that essentially is how we can play around with the data. So you'll notice that it's added another tab there. It's got nothing in it, so I can kill that. But how would I change this one? So I'm not going to do it here because I don't want to butcher this particular example, but we could make one that's identical to it. What do I need to change? So here's the one that you're going to get. So it's sitting in OneNote straight away. Yes.
Change dollar sign test or DB equals test to the actual name of the thing.
Okay. So test is not going to be called test anymore. What's it going to be called? World Bank. Yeah. So that's the name of the database we're playing with. Username, password stay the same. This stuff here will stay the same. That's just an alert of sorts. I can change my query. This stays the same, that stays the same, all of it stays the same. The stuff that I want to display will change. but the rest of it doesn't change at all. So there's 3 places on your PHP file that you need to do something with. How many things do I need to change in that file?
1.
None? Okay, in reality, we will probably have more than one PHP file. Okay, so if you have, say, 3 queries, probably the easiest way to do that is have whatever the name of the query is. So find countries with diminishing GDP or something. Okay, but essentially this doesn't change. And remember, this is the crucial line, line 12 here. So it's going to go and get whatever is being produced by that particular PHP file. Okay, do I need to change anything here in the HTML? No. And again, depending which one of these you hit, you may have in your JavaScript, that might be the one to run a certain function or run a certain query. Okay? You would then have a function below that called find average GDP, and it would go and run a different PHP file, which has a different query in it. So in reality, rather than just having something like this, and at the moment that's our one button, it might be, this is the name of the database, these are 3 queries that we're going to do. So for your actual assessment, it will probably be, I give you 3 data sources and say, here's the data. You need to come up with 3 queries for each. So if you did the cricket one, you might find the batsman who scored more hundreds and 50s. You might do in the GDP one, the ones that have a GDP greater than Australia or less than Australia, or sort them, show the top 10 or something. But each of the buttons will perform a job, and again it's just going and running a particular query, and that comes back to here in our JavaScript. That just goes and runs a query. You'll then have a different function that runs a different query. It will have a different button that opens it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Hopefully. Righto. I'll